real quick, I do have a 5% play tonight. Like I said,
Mm,
I trust my edge a little bit more going forward. It's my first one in college basketball of the new year. So first 5%er of 2024. And I'm probably going to be playing them a little bit more frequently now that like I said, I really think my edge is just bigger going forward than it was in November, December. Joe, thank you for complimenting my jacket. I grabbed this when
mm,
I was at Fifth Third Arena last year with Jeff Michaels. And speaking of, I guess he's the stat son, maybe, because the stat
mhm,
daddy, Ralph Michaels,
mhm.
texted me this morning. He said, Trig, I know you're going to go on the college basketball show and talk about Cincinnati today. He goes, so you might want to bring this with you. Cincinnati off a loss, their last 14 games, 13-1 against the spread. Comes as no surprise to me, Joe. Wes Miller is a fantastic coach. His teams, even prior to him being at Cincinnati, are always ready to play. And so that doesn't surprise me that Cincinnati has been so strong coming off an outright loss. That's 13-1 against the spread, which is what we're concerned with here tonight. I think we're getting a little bit of a premium placed on Kansas here, Joe, based on the fact that they lost their last game to West Virginia. Now, listen, like the betting public loves to do this, right? It's the Kansas just lost, they can't possibly lose again angle. And a lot of times that's something that there is some merit to that, if you will. But I think the line I think it's been priced into the number here. I think the odds makers have forced you to sort of make pay a premium already. And man, like I just don't think it's a great angle in the Big 12 this year, the best basketball conference in the country. And just ask Houston, Joe. They lost back-to-back games to Iowa State and
Mm.
TCU. You could check in with Oklahoma, who lost back-to-back games to TCU and Kansas. How about Baylor? They lost to Texas and Kansas State back-to-back. BYU lost back-to-back to Cincinnati and Baylor, and TCU lost back-to-back to Cincinnati and Iowa State. All ranked teams, all nationally ranked teams, just like Kansas, who were in a similar spot and lost the second game, the one that they got to bounce back here. No, that didn't happen. And the reason that didn't happen is because there's no nights off in this league. It's going to be tough to come back and win a game. It's just going to be tough to win games in general because these teams there's so many good teams in the Big 12. Now the matchup here, Joe, I do think there are things that favor Cincinnati. Specifically Kansas being able to get to the rim. Now Kansas elite ball movement. They move the ball as good as any team in the country. But they're not quite as good off the dribble. And that's kind of how you beat Cincinnati. Like trying to take guys off the dribble and maybe kick off that. Like that's really the way you attack Cincinnati because remember, you got like Cincinnati's got some elite rim protectors. Aziz is awesome. He pairs down there with Victor Lakin. Like this is a team that can really protect the rim and they're really good rebounding. 14th nationally in rebounding is Cincinnati this year. So I just think that like it's going to be a little bit tougher for Kansas to score in this matchup. And that's all you really need, right? Like if Kansas isn't scoring at their normal rate, it's going to be difficult for them to cover, to win a game by 9.
Mm.
Especially when this Cincinnati team is not all defense. I mean, they have shown the ability to score. Like they're inconsistent. Don't get me wrong. They're very they have their stretches where they can't score. But 78.7 points per game, and there's enough offense here for Cincinnati where they're not just they don't need to play a game in the 50s or 60s. Like they will put the ball in the basket enough to hang around in this game. So I thought the number was too big. I played it for clients at 8.5. I think we're down to 8, maybe even 7.5 some places now. I just think Cincinnati's a really good basketball team. I backed them on the road as a similar size underdog to Baylor. It was a game they covered relatively easily, a game I felt like they probably should have won. So 8.5 points with Cincinnati sounds good, Joe. This is a 4% client play for me. And like I said, I've got a 5%er in a different game tonight, currently up on my page at Wager Talk, but I really like both of these plays. And I think the Bearcats hang around with the Jayhawks tonight.